my friends across the pond, and in fact, the fathers of this great nation. Not like that kind of, relationship, but rather the two founding pillars of this deeply divided nation, both the UK and France, who we'll be talking about in just a short minute. But UK has been doing some great stuff, and France is becoming more based than a bunch of other places, and that's kind of weird to see, especially from afar. Like, okay, the UK, this is a couple days ago at this point, and I've just been waiting to talk about this one, because it's been sending the right people up the walls screeching and making their cats jealous about how many claw marks they can put into their piss-stinking rooms. The UK government plan to tougher voter ID rules draws criticism. Yeah, they passed voter ID laws, and guess what? You're going to have to show some kind of identification to vote. Yeah, fucking, oh my god, it's so terrible. Sucks to suck. And who's spurging out? The same people who always spurg out. I don't think you were waiting for my answer on that one. The British government has announced contentious. It's not contentious. It's just one of the media's favorite wedge issues to push racism. Even though you remember that race report from not that long ago that went out and showed that the UK is in fact one of the least racist places on the planet, and in fact should be a exemplar for much of the developed world. Yeah, they still haven't stopped crying about that or invoking it in order to push their really shitty articles. But I digress and shall continue here. The British government has announced contentious plans to toughen election voting rules by requiring photo identification at polling stations. A move, it says, will protect the democratic system against electoral fraud. Yeah, I think everybody can agree with that. Unless, of course, you think that minorities are too stupid to get photo identification. I'm not a racist. I'm a conservative. But opponents and civil liberties groups say the law proposed by Prime Minister Boris Johnson, oh, the man with the bad hair, we need to get rid of him. Yeah, it ain't gonna fucking happen. If you want proof positive of that, just go check on the corpse that was once the Labour Party over there in the corner. Could disenfranchise millions of voters. Could. It really could. Particularly the poor and boat people that have just come over not that long ago. The government's legislative agenda for the next year, announced Tuesday, includes a plan to tighten election rules for postal and proxy voting. Just a terrible, terrible thing to do. And to require electors in the UK general elections to show photo ID at polling stations at present. Northern Ireland is the only part of the UK that requires voters to provide their identities at polling stations. My brothers from another Blarney Stone. Environment Secretary George Eustace said Wednesday that the changes would protect the integrity of our electoral system against fraud and had nothing to do with party interests. Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, good. Opposition Labour Party Justice spokesperson, the only true British man ever, that David Lammy, said that it was a cynical and ugly attempt to rig the system to disempower the poorest and most marginalized groups, the ones who no longer vote for you, David, and the ones who you try to keep stupid and on the government tit. You know, those ones? Yeah, exactly. Voter ID has been a contentious issue in several United States. I would say the entirety of the United States, but whatever. Where Republican administration has sought to tighten voting laws, and they have in many states, and it's a great thing because I love to see people cry. Critics accuse the British government of overstating the scale of the problem. Might as well get out and ahead of it, okay? Isn't that something that the government should be doing? Anticipating problems, anticipating conflicts in the future, and nipping them in the bud? Isn't that a good thing? According to the research by Parliament, there is only one conviction in 2017 for impersonation at polling stations, and none in 2018. Okay, good. We're just setting up some more guidelines to make sure that isn't the case, or that continues to be the standard going forward. The government said a broad range of identification documents will be accepted under the new rules, including passports, driver's licenses, and seniors' public transit passes. Anything with your name and your picture on it that is issued by the government declaring who you are. I know, doesn't that seem fucking racist now, doesn't it? Especially when it's such a wide range of things. God save the Queen. Good move, United Kingdom. Now let's cross the English Channel and talk about something good. going on in France right now? France bans some general neutral language in schools, a danger of our country and the French language. My God, I never thought that I would long for French policies, but this is the twisted world that we live in. The French government recently banned schools from using certain gender neutral, or inclusive language in schools. God damn it. Macron is just knocking it out of the park lately. And if it was up to him, it would not be baseballs. It would be people who speak with a little bit too much phlegm. Saying it would be destructive to the French language and would prevent people from learning it. Yes, some leftist groups don't care. Your opinion means less than zero. Politicians and teachers' unions, it's got all the right people in a roar. I love it. Have attempted to change certain words, adding the midpoints in nouns and adjectives and sometimes in verbs in an attempt to make the language more feminine. Ugh. As if the French language wasn't feminine enough. By doing so, they claim that some traditional French words are too masculine and need feminization. See, these people are literally getting triggered over how toxically masculine words are. Why would you ever take their opinion seriously? But a deputy education minister, Nathalie Elima, I would imagine, on Thursday said that gender-neutral and inclusive writing in French is danger to our country. That's always where it starts, with the obfuscation and the subversion of language. So nip it in the bud, just like voter ID laws in the UK. Feel free to install some for yourself if you'd like. It will sound the death knell for the use of French in the world. Yes, exactly. That's why white leftists who like the term Latinx, meanwhile, nobody who speaks Spanish a cursory would possibly even think of using the term. Like, you'd have to construct such a weird situation in order for it to be applicable. Meanwhile, everybody else is just fine with, the already gendered language. Stop trying to ruin things you don't understand, kids. It dislocates words, breaks them into two, she said, of some efforts to change the language with a spread of inclusive writing. The English language, already homogeneic across the world, I wouldn't say quasi, but fair enough, would certainly and perhaps forever defeat the French language. Okay, nothing wrong with competition, even though, anytime that you get into a certain conflict, you tend to back out like a Frenchman. What's the proper analogy here? I don't know. So-called inclusive writing should be avoided, which notably uses the midpoint to simultaneously reveal the feminine and masculine forms of a word used in the masculine when it is used in one sense. The decree, which was sent to schools across France this month, reads, in addition, this writing, which results in the fragmentation of words and agreements, constitutes an obstacle to reading and understanding the written word. The impossibility of verbally transcribing texts using this type of writing hampers reading aloud, as well as pronunciation, and consequently learning, especially for the youngest. Yes, somebody invoking the term, won't somebody please think of the children and doing something correctly, because I don't know, man, over here we've seen the introduction of different intersectional neo-Marxist terms that have ruined society. French, just like all of their Islamic infusion, they're properly calling this stuff out, just like how Macron coined the term Islamo-leftism. He has taken up the problem that is the Islamo part and summarily kicking out the leftist, especially with this point right here. You don't get that foothold over there in France, which is fucking amazing that they'd be the ones to be at the forefront of this. But many other states in the United States have decided that critical race theory, intersectionality training is not a place for the public schools, and they're banning it left, right, and center. A growing majority of Republican states, that's what I can say, have decided that, that's not for us. That, of course, Florida's at the forefront of that. But meanwhile, up here in Canada, we couldn't be asked. That just the more rainbow-colored strap-on cock in our collective socialist flatant asses, the better, I suppose. I, for one, shall not be participating, mostly because I'm out of public school. I shan't be propagating it, even if Bill C-10 does eventually pass and I become regulated by the CRTC. Hopefully Florida can accept one more person. That'd be great. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.